Turkey is taking a new position in Russia's war against Ukraine. Erdogan gives such a cold assessment of this war and says that he doesn't really believe the war in Ukraine will end soon. He adds, this is bad news, but it must be acknowledged. And he also says that Europe won't be able to provide economic assistance to Ukraine forever. This was stated in a Fox News interview and repeated by many media outlets. And here it's important to understand that this isn't surrender. It's a warning, like, get ready for the long haul. Against this backdrop, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky submits a bill to the Verkhovna Rada about sending Ukrainian armed forces units to other countries, specifically to Turkey and the United Kingdom. That is, some servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine, are being sent to Turkey. You know, it's not a sensation, like the Ukrainian armed forces are going to Turkey to fight or to support the Turkish armed forces. No, this is a normal legal basis for the training, testing and service of the Ukrainian Navy. I emphasize, abroad. Our straits are closed, there's a war going on, and Turkey is actually preparing military ships for us. And while the war continues, the armed forces of Ukraine, together with the Turks, are preparing and are ready to form that very future Ukrainian Navy fleet. My name is Alexei Pechiy, it's September 23rd, let's break down this topic directly. What did Erdogan say? How is the deployment of Ukrainian armed forces personnel to Turkey related to this, and how accurate is Trump's position? But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and leave any comment under this episode. This really helps promote this video on YouTube. So what exactly is the office of the president proposing? Let's start with the statement from Volodymyr Zelensky. So the bill's summary states clearly, the period for sending Ukrainian armed forces servicemen to Turkey and Britain is until martial law is lifted. Translating from bureaucratic language to plain language, the ship and crew must serve and be perfected where there is the polygon plant, where there are NATO partners. Minesweepers and the divisional headquarters are improving their mine warfare skills alongside the Royal Navy. This is simply normal work during a great war. That means right now we can't send some of the ships we already have into the Black Sea. I'll explain why a bit later. But the Ukrainian Navy has to train. Why Turkey? And what's the deal here? You know, Turkey's entry into the war, as they say. But in fact, Turkey is working on a Corvette program for the Ukrainian Navy. Hetman Ivan Mazepa was built in Istanbul. It's already going out to sea for trials. The Ukrainian Navy has already posted some footage of this Corvette. And accordingly, the question arises, where should the ship be perfected, and where should the crew of this ship be trained? Where there's access to the manufacturer, stand, base, and testing ground. This isn't public relations. It's a tech cycle. Deliver systems, test fire, log hours, refine components, resolve warranty issues, etc. It's faster than sending commissions all over Europe. And now, as to why this ship won't be in Odessa tomorrow, for example, why not bring it over here and let the Ukrainian Navy train on it here? Because of the Montreux Convention, which has been in force since 2022, Turkey, having called Russia's invasion of Ukraine a war, closed the straits to warships of the countries involved in the conflict. The only exception is returning to their home base, which everyone knows. In terms of our topic, new units of warships will not be able to enter the Black Sea, simply because I want to. So, the Corvettes are being completed in Turkey, the mine countermeasure forces in Britain, and experience is being gained where it is allowed. Accordingly, the servicemen from the Soviet Union and I are sent to Turkey and Britain. The war is long, so the external framework must be functional, not just on paper. And why Britain? And what do the theater people have to do with it? Because without mine countermeasures, we won't have exports, insurance, normal convoy movement, or a normal economy after the war. Accordingly, the Royal Navy of Britain officially displays Ukrainian ships in Portsmouth, which means exercises are held there, and accordingly, these ships are already ready as well. Everything follows NATO procedures, staff work, communications, and unified standards. And this is actually a transfer of capabilities, not a transfer of the front line, so to speak. When will it be time to clean the Black Sea of the trash called Russians? And what they left behind, well, that's these people. Ukrainian armed forces servicemen won't have to start from scratch. They'll already be specialists on these ships. They will eventually enter the Black Sea and dock in Odessa. But let's get back to Erdogan. His words may sound unpleasant, but they're honest. He says that he doesn't really believe the war will end soon and that Europe won't be able to help forever. Well, of course, you could consider this a cold shower for the audience that lives from one news report to the next and expects, a miracle in a month. Especially for those who believe that Trump could really end the war. But in reality, it's a signal that Ankara is playing a long and pragmatic game. Turkey closed the straits under the Montreux Convention. By the way, this is a blow to Russia's ability to maneuver its hardware in the Black Sea. Turkey is building Corvettes for Ukraine, maintaining the infrastructure so we don't waste a year on some paperwork, logistics. These are the facts. So in this regard, Turkey is very much involved and despite the war is not stopping its processes. Next is an uncomfortable but still important point. When we say the armed forces of Ukraine are being sent to Turkey, we mean the navy and training, not ground brigades going to another front. A Corvette is for anti-submarine operations, it's missiles, it's electronic warfare, it's protecting communications. The crew's qualification grows not from briefings, but from going to sea and handling real malfunctions and routine emergencies. And if you do this near the manufacturer, you save money, which is needed now to defend Ukraine. And accordingly, you prepare the crews so that when the opportunity arises, they can return to a Ukrainian port on this Corvette. And about the minesweepers, which are in Britain, it's even simpler. Britain is really boosting us in the mine countermeasures area, because that's their specialty and their interest. Safe logistics for grain and critical cargo from the Black Sea are very beneficial for Britain. Everything in the British releases is written kind of without emotion. 2 ships arrived in Portsmouth to complete preparations and make the Black Sea safe. This is just a coincidence of interests. Our people get practice, the British work on compatibility and experience, and the insurers see the real dynamics. They accordingly fully understand that as soon as the war is stopped, there will really be people ready to restore order in the Black Sea from day one. The legal framework for this already exists within Ukraine as well. The Verkhovna Rada has made amendments to the relevant laws. Under martial law, the president decides to send units abroad and submits a draft law to parliament for approval at the same time. So, this is not secret diplomacy, not a grey scheme, but a clear procedure. This procedure is exactly what is being applied to the current specific case. This means the Corvette crew is going to Turkey and the minesweeper group and headquarters are going to Britain. The whole story is based on one simple understanding. We can't wait for the perfect moment when the straits suddenly open and the sea becomes, calm and friendly. We are forced to live in a reality where Turkey holds the keys to the Bosphorus and Dardanelles under the Montreux Convention. And this actually works in our favor because the Russian Black Sea Fleet gets fewer reinforcements. In this reality, corvettes are commissioned at their construction sites and minesweepers train at their stations. The headquarters operates wherever partners and instructors meet. And what is very important is Turkey's involvement in shaping our Ukrainian naval force. As the war goes on, the Ukrainian fleet is being built. This is crucial. And the final thought, when Recep Tayyip Erdogan says that Europe won't be able to help forever, it's not an invitation to surrender, it's intentional. Bet on industry, on personnel, and on long-term programs. Bill on sending Ukrainian armed forces units to Turkey and Britain, based on this logic, to secure a presence where the Ukrainian fleet is being built and trained. And yes, let anyone argue about the wording, but, when our Corvette Ivan Mazepa is gaining hours closer to Turkey, our minesweepers are honing procedures with the British. This is exactly the work for that very victory. It's just happening a little farther from our borders. So I'll put an ellipsis here. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye.